In today's video, I want to talk about the reasons I upgraded to the Fujifilm X-T5 only a couple months after buying its little brother, the X-T50. To give a little backstory on how I ended up with both these cameras, in June of 2024, I decided I wanted to splurge on my birthday and get myself an actual camera. Always been wanting one for several years. I started looking up Fujifilm cameras because I had experience with their Instax style cameras for a while. And I quickly discovered one of the cameras that Fujifilm was making at the time, which was the X106. I quickly fell in love with that camera, watched a ton of reviews on it. I loved the styling. Another thing I really liked about the camera, it just came with a 23mm fixed lens, so you didn't have to worry about interchanging lenses and worrying about that. It was just kind of, you get what you get and you kind of run with it. Was going to order one and then quickly realized it was sold out everywhere, big back orders, and the resale market prices were kind of crazy. I then discovered the X-T5, watched a bunch of reviews on it, and it kind of scared me a little bit because everyone was saying it's a very professional, photography oriented camera. It had all the bells and whistles that someone would need for it, and it just seemed a little daunting at the time. After deciding the X-T5 wasn't the camera I think I was needing, I then learned about the Fujifilm X-T50. It seemed to be like a cool mixture between the X106 and the X-T5. It still came with the 40 megapixel camera, IBIS. It had interchangeable lenses, which I started like the idea of the little variation if I really got into photography. And on June 25th, 2024, I received the X-T50 in the mail. And I quickly took over my life, and I have loved photography, and I love the act of creating and going out and taking photos and just exploring with a camera. The first thing I want to talk about is the size difference between these two cameras. The X-T5 is definitely a larger, heavier camera overall. But that being said, they still use the same 40 megapixel sensor size, so quality of photo and video never decreased between the two. This might be a hot take, but I do prefer the X-T5's size and weight a little bit more than the lighter weight X-T50. I'm over 6 foot, so my hands are decent size, so I need to run grip extensions on both these cameras. But being the X-T5 is a larger camera in general, I don't need to run such an aggressive grip extension in my mind. And having a grip extension in general, I like the wood accents. It adds a little color to an all black camera. And when using one hand, the grip extension lets you a little grip on it a little bit more aggressive, and it feels like it's not going to slip out of your hand. So these both are an SLR style camera, so you still have to deal with the hump of the rangefinder. That's probably my biggest issue with these cameras, is that larger viewfinder kind of sticks out of the camera and makes it putting in bags and slings a little bit more difficult, but it's not impossible. In my mind, if size is a big concern, I'd worry about the lens size more than the camera body itself. One of the smallest features, but has a huge impact in my workflow and just ease of use when out taking photos, is the flip screen and the differences that these two cameras have. The X-T5 has a 3-way screen, so it can do horizontal and vertical, compared to the X-T50, which is just the 2-way, so it can only do horizontal. It doesn't have a extra little button you can flip to make doing vertical shots easier. It's such a small thing to complain about, but it's a complete game changer personally when I'm doing photo walks or just going out and using the camera. It doesn't feel like I'm being clunky. It just feels effortless of flipping the screen out vertically and taking a photo that way and pushing it back, and you're back to horizontal. It just makes it way easier. One of my key issues with the X-T50 after several months of using it was the lack of dial control that the top of the camera doesn't have. It only has an exposure, shutter speed, and the new film simulation dial on top of the camera. I thought I'd use this dial a lot more than I did. The presets are great, but when you learn that you can actually put in recipes that like completely alter the photo and coloring the way that you want, instead of just the film simulations changing a handful of things, but you're just kind of stuck using the stock, I think 19 that you get on the camera. The dial honestly became a hindrance after a while because I was using these recipes all the time, and I still do. But when you're taking a photo not realizing, you can nudge the dial itself and it'll change the recipe completely. And you don't really notice it because sometimes the change isn't really crazy until you're looking at the photos, and then the vibe and just overall look you're going for just is completely gone. I normally always deleted the photos when this was happening, when I accidentally hit the film sim dial. This example is the only one I really have saved. I was taking a photo of this little mushroom down low and being in an awkward angle and just not paying attention fully. I hit the dial a couple times while I was taking photos, and it kind of messed up the photos a lot and giving it a weird coloring. And of course, practice makes perfect. I could have just slowed down when I was taking photos and not nudge it so much. But when in the heat of the moment, trying to capture something really quick, it does tend to happen a lot in my use case. One of the things I really liked about the X-T5 is it has full dial control. It has your exposure, ISO, and shutter speed. And it also, the ISO and shutter speed both have a like lockout pin on top of the button, so you can select the setting you want, press it in, and no amount of nudging or bumping is going to change it. And I kind of wish that the film simulation dial on the X-T50 had that also. The X-T5's dials themselves are way more tactile and have a nicer quality than the X-T50's. The UI in these cameras seem to be about the same. I can't really tell a difference between the two. I haven't really deep dived too much into them to see if all the settings are matched, but it's not really an issue in my case. But with that being said, the X-T50 doesn't have an ISO dial, so you do have to go into the settings to change that manually, which does kind of slow down your workflow and kind of makes it hard in my use case taking photos at night because you have to go into a menu and then back out. Another thing that was in a menu with the X-T5 is changing over your drive option or what mode you're in. When you're wanting to switch from photo to video or video to photo, you do have to hit the drive button, then scroll down to whatever mode you're wanting, which if you're trying to take a quick video or photo, it does slow you down a lot and makes it less enjoyable. I do a lot of hybrid shooting, so the switching between photo and video on the X-T50 was really slow and cumbersome. But with the X-T5, it's just a little kick switch button right below the shutter speed dial, and you're in photo to video, video to photo within seconds, and you're not shuffling through a menu. And then right below the ISO dial is the drive button, which is also helpful. The last thing I want to talk about between these two cameras would be the battery and their differences. The X-T50 uses the same battery that the X-106 uses. It's the NPW126S. These batteries are fairly small and in my personal use case don't last that long. And I was going through probably 2 to 3 batteries just on a single photo walk. While the X-T5 uses the NPW235 batteries. And honestly, these batteries are 100% way better than the X-T50s. I'm getting like weeks of use out of just one battery. And intensive shooting, I'm still going through like 1, maybe 2 if it's like a long day of shooting. To end this video off, I just want to say that both these cameras are amazing. They take beautiful photos and videos with that 40 megapixel sensor. I don't necessarily regret buying the X-T50. I give it to my girlfriend now and she uses it when we go on photo walks and stuff like that. But hands down, I think the X-T5 is just a better camera overall. And I would tell most people just to save up or just buy the X-T5 outright.